One mind, people. Addy in here. Addy Ads, YouTube's chosen one. Just doing a quick run through of some headlines over the past week I thought interesting. Not a very long video, but some cartoons and other tidbits from newspapers actually that I wanted to share, just in case anybody wanted to check that out. So I'm just going to go through these newspapers, and I went through them and just picked out some interesting captions, titles, and stories that I thought people would be interested in knowing. So I'm just going to share those. Won't spend too much time on all of them, but Pelosi, Confederate symbols have to go from Capitol and bases, and we are seeing this in multiple states in the South, especially in Virginia. And I actually have family in Richmond. As a matter of fact, I visited the Stonewall Jackson statue in Richmond with my cousins in the fall. And I actually have a picture of me standing in front of Stonewall Jackson's statue on my Instagram. It's like in the middle of a four-way intersection, so you can't really get right up close to it. It's a huge statue. So as far as what I think on that, I don't think the statues should be destroyed. You know, if you want to cover them with plastic bags, that's cool. And on my COVID roundtable on Saturday, I basically just went over, it was basically a global weekend update going over videos principally of police brutality. And when I say that, I mean that. It's 5 straight hours of videos, and I only repeated, I think, 1 or 2 videos. Other than that, I was watching a new video every single time, which is pretty astounding. Now, of course, I wasn't watching 5 straight hours of runtime because I was commenting on it, but it's pretty ridiculous that there's so much new material from the past week out there on Twitter and Reddit and otherwise that I can commentate for 5 hours on new material of police brutality videos. But as far as the Confederate Capitol, the Confederate symbols and statues, I think moving them to a museum might be a good call because it's part of our history. It's part of it's part of our history, this country. And there's this idea I saw recently about, I mean, it's just the truth. It's the truth that these men, these leaders who have been statuified, they were protecting their homes, and those big cities in the South that didn't fall. Richmond, I'm not going to list the cities. I'm going to be talking about the Civil War soon with Ryan Dawson, so he can clarify on that for me. But they were preventing their cities from getting pillaged and raped and burned because it's war. You know, regardless of whose side is on whose, you see the same behavior during wartime, even if it's the Union fighting. And you have this idea of the Union as being the good guys. They still pillaged and raped and burned. Sherman's March to the Sea. So the idea is they were protecting their towns and their cities. So that's what I think about the statues. I did see one statue. It was Edward Colston in England. I think it was Bristol. And protesters knocked it down and threw it into a river. So that was interesting. Moving on. Biden. His main worry is Trump will try to steal the election. That is one of the weakest attempts at gaslighting I've ever seen. If anybody thinks that Trump doesn't have this in the bag already, you should think that he has it. It's not in the red zone, but it's almost there. He needs 2 first downs, and then he's gonna, you know, it's not as given to him, I would say, as Hillary in the last election. I mean, she fucked that up. That was on the fucking 5-yard line, and she, you know, that was like, for those people who know NFL, that was Pete Carroll calling a pass instead of running the ball with Marshawn Lynch. Okay, that's what Hillary did. She fucked up. Now, as far as Trump in 2020, I don't see him losing. I really don't. I'm going to vote for Trump. I don't see anybody coming out of the Democrats that will make me change my mind on that. But that being said, things could change. So Biden, I have no idea what you're talking about. If anything, you are the one that's trying to steal the election. Okay. So, oh yeah, this is kind of funny. So I want to see if I can show this. It's a city worker taking off caution tape off a playground swing set with a mask on and gloves with nobody around. Presented without comment. Moving on. Vaccines. So final tests of some COVID-19 vaccines to start next month. I will not be taking any vaccines. The way I thought about it was this. I trust my body to fight off a pathogen more than I trust some random humans to create a vaccine that isn't going to hurt me more than it's going to help me. Moving on. Council members protest after tear gas is used. And this is in Seattle. I guess what I have to say about this is, why are you surprised that policemen are lying to you? They're legally allowed to lie to you. And in fact, that's what they do, is they practice manipulation and lying. Israel. Netanyahu moving ahead with annexation plans. Now, this is from a few days ago now, but what I don't understand is, why is it wrong for Putin to annex Crimea, but Netanyahu can annex the West Bank? The World Bank will suffer its largest downturn since the 1940s. What happened in the 1940s, people? The Second World War. And this is just a headline that made me think of something that a guest I had on one of my shows actually a few months ago at the start of this pandemic said, and that's this pressure cooker. This curfew, this pandemic created this pressure cooker, and it's exploded now with these riots we're seeing. And I wanted to talk about Hong Kong because it's splitting the EU and the Western allies, and it's becoming almost like a focal point of East versus West, kind of the, not a no man's land, but that divide where, you know, where they meet each other, those boundaries. So if Hong Kong falls to the commies, which unfortunately it looks like Hong Kong will fall to the communists, that is not good for the West. That being said, if it does fall, I don't know if all is lost. I don't think all is lost. But I feel, man, for those people in Hong Kong who just want their liberty. And, you know, they can't all fucking leave. I mean, some of them can, the wealthy ones can, but most of them are stuck there. That's where they live. That's their home. Here's another one. It's from last week. Amid U.S. tension, Iran builds fake aircraft carrier to attack. Okay. I do not want to go to war with Iran. And if there's anybody listening who does, perhaps you could explain to me why that is. I am quite against war, quite anti-war against anyone. But speaking on Iran, because that's what is mentioned in this article, and that is our proverbial enemy for some reason. I don't really know why. If a conscription went out, conscription order, I would not listen to it. I mean, I don't have a problem with Iranians. I actually hung out with an Iranian girl in Berlin, Germany, almost 3 years ago now, and we had a great time. I was with my cousin too. So Iranian people, I don't got a problem with them at all. So, a war with them, I'm very against. I will protest in a very concrete ways if any sort of conscription goes out, and that's all I'm going to say on that. Moving on. Here's a cartoon I wanted to share. Pretty simple one, but did you hear? I clinched the nomination. Biden looking creepy with his nose. Kind of funny. Okay. Okay, here's a good one. Okay, we're running late, but before selection begins, I have a few words for the prospective jurors. If you are a lawyer or in law enforcement or have been a victim of a crime or related to any such person or know of any other reason why you might not be impartial, you are hereby excused. Okay, you remaining jurors will now be questioned by the prosecutor and the defense attorney. Everyone clear? No. What? Lunchtime, Your Honor. There's only one person left. I thought that was good. Oh, this is sad. So, but unsurprising, look at all those face masks that are being littered. On a beach about 100 meters long, we found about 70 face masks. It's a bad deal, man. So if you are using disposable face masks, make sure you are disposing of them correctly. And I might be preaching to the choir in that one. But those were in Hong Kong, where that litter was found. But I'm sure it's happening everywhere, unfortunately. Oh, here's another one. I need to stop swearing, guys. Please excuse me if that offends you. I get animated about some of these topics sometimes. The timing of UK's 14-day quarantine questioned. Effectiveness, ability to enforce rules in doubt. So I'll just read the first couple of sentences. The quarantine is roundly criticized by the aviation and tourism industries, many questioning its timing. Critics said the introduction is too late, and some doubt it could be effectively enforced. Excuse me, I gotta clear my throat. So what I don't understand is the entire country of the United Kingdom and their governing powers. It seems like they're always doing the wrong thing. Passengers entering Britain, such as those shown at Gatwick, must observe a 14-day quarantine. Gatwick is one of the busiest airports. It seems like it's always busy when I go there. But as far as the UK and the timing of this, it's just absurd. It makes no sense. It gets to the point where it's so far after that the wave came, right? The initial wave of the virus, that why would you impose a quarantine at all? I don't. The only country whose government makes me like WTF more than ours is the United Kingdom's. You just gotta laugh. Okay, this is something I wanted to speak on too, and I didn't put it in the title, and I think I'll change that. But HBCUs, or historically black colleges and universities, are fighting for survival. Now, I think just the existence of these colleges warrants the question, should these even be, should they still be in existence, I think is maybe a good way to put it. Because, I mean, it's not like you're going to have colleges based solely on someone being white or Latino or Asian, right? But I do understand that it comes from getting over the barriers that were imposed during the 20th century on African Americans and getting a secondary education, a higher education. That being said, I don't think that they're necessary now. I don't think anybody can convince me otherwise. But keeping them around for historical value, I definitely see the value in that, or historical remembrance, right? But I don't think they're necessary. And subsidizing money for them, well, that's kind of it's an itchy, touchy subject because of higher education in general. But it's, it's definitely quite a debate, HBCUs. So the WHO official has walked back on comments on asymptomatic spread, saying that it is very rare for asymptomatic individuals to spread the coronavirus. So the WHO is retracting one of their statements that they made very, very definitively. Is anyone surprised by this at this point? First, it was masks don't do anything. You don't need masks. Stop buying masks. And then it was asymptomatic spreaders are the biggest spreaders. Now we're finding that's not true. Look, if you trust the WHO, I do not trust you. Fund body cameras, defund school resource officers. Okay, the thing about body cameras is police officers can just turn them off. And I shared a video on my roundtable on Saturday. It's at the very end. It's extremely graphic, extremely depressing, and extremely infuriating of police officers turning off their cameras and beating an inmate who is completely restrained. I'm not making this up. That's psychopathic, okay? So I do think all police officers should have body cameras, but it's not the end all be all, because they can be manipulated, they can be turned off, and they don't even have to release the footage if they don't want to. HBO Max has removed Gone with the Wind, the film about the Civil War. I actually started watching this last year and I didn't finish it because it just started out too slow. But I'm going to try to watch it again. I'm going to check it out. It's a 1939 film, so it came out right before World War II. It's about the Civil War, and I'm sure it's being taken down. Look at this. It says that it's romanticizing the right to own, sell, and buy human beings. I haven't seen it, so I can't comment on that, but I thought that was interesting that big film is making headlines. Contact tracing in America. I'm not even going to read this freaking article, but I'm just going to relay what Edward Snowden shared, and that's that once contact tracing once the outbreak has reached a certain critical mass geographically, contact tracing becomes useless. And you may ask why, and think about it like this. Say you have a city of 20,000 people, and there's an outbreak, and it started with, obviously 1, 2, 3 people. Tracking them down before that outbreak gets out of hand can be done via contact tracing. But if 30% or 40% of the city becomes infected, contact tracing is completely useless. It's like you're past the point of no return at that point. And that applies not only on the micro level of towns and cities, but on the macro level too, in regions in the world or the United States, or wherever you're trying to apply this contact tracing. Not to mention, and that's not mentioning the fact of how creepy that is, the surveillance capabilities. that are out there with contact tracing. Okay, here's another one. So this is called the it's right under it actually. The overlooked disparity, coronavirus kills mostly men. What's up, Liberty? Dolly? Thanks for checking in. The United Nations wants you to know that coronavirus is a particular problem for women. So does Politico with their article, COVID's War on Women. An article in the feminist magazine, Miss MS, says women are shouldering the brunt of COVID-induced emotional labor, which is all-consuming. Yet the focus culturally, politically, and medically is unrelentingly on women's health. Searching Men's Health Center, I got 3.8 million hits on Google. Don't use Google, people. Women's Health Center yielded 24 million hits. Celebrities and progressive CEOs like Twitter's Jack Dorsey direct their donations to women's health causes. The Federal Health and Human Services Department has an office on women's health, but no equivalent for men. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say on this. I don't know. I mean, those are facts. Men are disposable according to society. So am I surprised by this? No. Is it fair? No. Is there anything I can do about it? I can share this with you. It's ludicrous that, people are not focusing on the facts, really. And the facts are that this virus is mostly killing males. But of course, the media, corporate media, globalists, communists, they don't care about facts. Oh, my paper fell. China could use more populism, excuse me. Yeah, perhaps. So in New York, virus-related deaths are on the decline. Okay, yeah, this is what I was looking for. Okay. Firefighters in, where is this, Contra County? A new type of wildfire training that included masks and social distancing. Why do firefighters need social distancing? Viruses die in heat, in extreme heat. Okay, and this is just okay. So that's all I wanted to share. Just some newspaper clippings from the last few days that I wanted to just expound on and elaborate a bit, as well as share those thoughts, because there are just so much info out and about nowadays. So, seen a big poster, in London today. Dangerous for children. Yeah, I mean, it's been shown that it's really not dangerous for children. Similar to the World War Z virus, although they were completely immune. Children are not completely immune to this particular virus, but they are definitely the most protected for whatever reason. So that was my quick update on newspaper clippings. Please be on the lookout for upcoming interviews that I have, and as well as the COVID roundtable this coming weekend. Thanks, everybody. Stay safe, stay frosty. Cheers. Until next time.